Proba, from the Latin for let's try, is ESA's family of experimental small satellites. Over the last 2 decades, Proba, from the Latin for let's try, is ESA's family of experimental small satellites. Over the last 2 decades, Proba missions have pushed forward spaceflight technology while gathering valuable science data. The next in the series, Proba 3, is the most ambitious yet. 2 satellites will fly together as one with millimetre-level control of their positions within a precise formation. In the process, one will eclipse or block the Sun for the other, to reveal our star's faint surrounding coronal atmosphere for scientific observation. Liftoff will take place where the Proba story began, India's Satish Dhawan Space Centre, site of Proba 1's launch in 2001. Proba 3 requires a unique orbit, making the powerful PSLV XL launcher developed by the Indian Space Research Organisation, the perfect choice for launch. With Proba 3 as its sole passenger, the launch vehicle can perform a tailored orbit insertion, setting the mission on course. The 2 Proba 3 satellites will travel to space stacked together. Topmost is the Occulter Spacecraft with its 1.4-metre diameter occulting disk, which will observe the Sun in eclipse. The satellite's orbit is highly elliptical, taking them to a maximum of 60,000 kilometres from Earth. Gravitational, magnetic and atmospheric perturbations are much lower this far out. This will make possible the precise positioning needed for formation flying and observing the Sun's corona. Once separated from their launcher, the conjoined satellites need to come to life. The spacecraft will orient their respective solar panels to the Sun to acquire a sufficient power to wake up onboard systems and allow commissioning to begin. Only once their joint commissioning is complete will the spacecraft be separated. Then they will begin their individual commissioning and enter their initial formation. At this stage, it is important that the Proba 3 satellites perform a series of manoeuvres to position themselves in relatively safe orbits with respect to each other. Achieving this nullifies any risk of the pair either drifting away from each other or colliding. After all commissioning checks are complete, the pair will be ready for their first flight in precise formation. The separation between spacecraft will be as short as 25 metres and as long as 250 metres, with a nominal separation of around 150 metres. The pair will determine their relative positions using a suite of metrologies, including radio links, satellite navigation, and the visual-based system with optical tracking of blinking lights. Once sufficient accuracy has been achieved, the final step will be to deploy the most precise measuring system of all, the laser metrology system, known as the fine lateral and longitudinal sensor. With this laser link, the total 3-dimensional formation can attain millimetre-level control. At this point, the occulter, lined up with the Sun, will cast a perfect shadow for sustained observation of the Sun's otherwise invisible corona. Once the occulter's shadow is maintained in just the right spot on the face of the other satellite, it will be safe for the coronagraph to open its protective door and start scientific observations of the Sun's corona. Solar scientists travel the world to glimpse brief solar eclipses, but Proba 3 will create eclipses on demand.
nation, ISRO, is poised to make history again as it gears up to launch the European Space Agency's project for onboard autonomy Proba 3 mission in December 2024. This PSLV C59 mission is the dedicated commercial mission of New Space India Limited, NSIL, the commercial arm of the Indian Space Research Organisation, ISRO. The Proba 3 mission consists of 2 satellites, the Occulter and the Coronagraph, with a combined weight of approximately 560 kilograms. These satellites are set to be launched in a stacked configuration using ISRO's workhorse launch vehicle, the PSLV. The PSLV C59 mission will be undertaken from first launch pad located at Satish Dhawan Space Centre, SDSC Shar, Sriharikota. This mission marks the 61st flight of the Polar Satellite Launch Vehicle PSLV and the 26th mission using the PSLV XL configuration. The Proba 3 mission, dedicated to the exploration of the Sun's corona, seeks to achieve its objectives through the deployment of 2 satellites in a highly elliptical orbit. Proba 3's design will enable continuous views of the Sun's corona, which Earth-based observers only witness briefly during solar eclipses. This precise mission relies on millimeter-level accuracy to cast a shadow between the 2 satellites, effectively blocking direct sunlight and providing clear observation of the Sun's outer atmosphere. This mission demands a high-altitude orbit, enabling the satellites to fly in formation for about 6 hours at peak altitude, where the influence of Earth's gravity diminishes, reducing propellant usage and facilitating optimal positioning control. Additionally, the spacecrafts carry instruments such as spectrometer and radiometer to study radiation near Earth and measure total solar irradiance, which is vital for climate science. This momentous event not only showcases the spirit of international collaboration in space exploration, but also highlights the relentless pursuit of knowledge and innovation.
That was a curtain raiser video brought to you by Capacity Building and Public Outreach Office of ISRO.
We are 9 minutes 45 seconds from the launch. As the countdown is progressing unhindered and it's all good for the launch, let me take the viewers through the nominal events expected to take place during the launch and ascent. Liftoff coincides with T0, which is scheduled at 16:04 hours today with the ignition of PS1 core stage. The 4 ground-lit strap-ons ignite 400 milliseconds later. 25 seconds into the flight, the 2 air-lit strap-ons are also ignited. The rocket would have attained 2.76 kilometers altitude by then. Having completed their respective action times of 69.5 seconds and 67 seconds, the ground-lit and air-lit strap-ons are jettisoned from the ongoing vehicle. The first stage takes the PSLV rocket up to an altitude of 58.25 kilometers and is separated at 109.7 seconds into flight. 200 milliseconds later, the second stage, PS2, a liquid stage based on hypergolic propellant combination of UH-25 and N2O4, begins its operation. The duration of PS2 operation is 152.5 seconds. In the meantime, the PSLV would have ascended from 58.4 kilometers altitude to 165 kilometers altitude. As the dense atmosphere will be crossed during PS2 regime, 2 more important flight events take place. That is the initiation of closed loop guidance and separation of payload fairing. PS2 separates at 262.4 seconds into flight. Important flight events take place. Third stage, PS3,
ignites 1.2 seconds thereafter. During the 120 seconds of its thrusting, the rocket adds 79 kilometers to its altitude and a significant
2.54 kilometers per second in relative velocity. Coasting phase for PSLV C59 mission is expected to last for about 105 seconds. During this regime, there will be no active thrust development by the stage. The relative velocity reduces by 0.1 kilometers per second or 360 kmph as a result. The rocket can ascend by 96 kilometers. Velocity reduces by 0.1 kilometers per second or 300
and PS4 ignites 10 seconds thereafter. PS4 is a pressure-fed liquid engine which will operate for 516 seconds for this present flight. It shuts down at 1015.5 seconds into flight. PS4 thrust regime adds 655 kilometers to the altitude. 107 seconds after the shutdown of PS4, the injection conditions for Proba 3 spacecraft separation are achieved. Altitude of 1267.9 kilometers and relative velocity of 9.4 kilometers per second. The spacecraft is injected in a stack configuration. The orbit is 600 by 60,530 kilometers, a highly elliptical orbit. After a short preparatory period, the two observations will be carried out. Thereafter, the first results from Proba 3 will be obtained.
अब हम प्रमोशन से 5 मिनट 48 सेकंड की दूरी पर हैं। यह मिशन
PSLV का 61वां प्रमोशन मिशन है और इस मिशन में PSLV के एक्सेल संस्करण का प्रयोग किया जा रहा है। एक्सेल संस्करण में कोर सॉलिड बूस्टर के साथ 12 टन के 6 PS0 सॉलिड बूस्टर्स साथ में संलग्न रहते हैं। इससे पहले हमने PS0 एक्सेल बूस्टर के साथ PSLV एक्सेल का प्रमोशन 2 सितंबर 2023 को भारतीय अंतरिक्ष अनुसंधान संगठन द्वारा स्वर्णिम अध्याय आदित्य L1 के प्रमोशन मिशन के रूप में देखा था और आज हम फिर से तैयार हैं एक और मील का पत्थर पार करने के लिए, जिसका नाम है PSLV C59 प्रोबा 3 मिशन।
T-5 minutes।
इस प्रमोशन मिशन का घटनाक्रम कुछ इस प्रकार होगा। T0 पर कोर S139 बूस्टर का प्रज्वलन शुरू होगा और इसके साथ ही 400 मिलीसेकंड पर ही ग्राउंड लेड स्ट्रेप ऑन यानी PS0 मोटर का प्रज्वलन शुरू हो जाएगा। इसमें 4 स्ट्रेप ऑन प्रज्वलित होंगे। उसके 25 सेकंड के पश्चात और 2 स्ट्रेप ऑन बूस्टर का प्रज्वलन शुरू होगा। यह स्ट्रेप ऑन बूस्टर्स T+70 सेकंड्स और T+92 सेकंड्स क्रमशः पर अपना कार्यकाल समाप्त कर यान से पृथक कर दिए जाएंगे। इसके बाद T+110 सेकंड्स पर कोर बूस्टर को भी यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा। प्रथम चरण के पृथक होने के पश्चात दूसरे चरण का प्रज्वलन प्रारंभ हो जाएगा। दूसरे चरण का कार्यकाल लगभग 150 सेकंड का होगा और इस दौरान यान क्लोज लूप गाइडेंस के अंतर्गत अपना दिशा निर्धारण स्वतः ही करेगा। इस चरण के दौरान ही लगभग 115 किलोमीटर की ऊंचाई पर यान से ऊष्मा कवच को पृथक कर दिया जाएगा।
और द्वितीय चरण के कार्यकाल के समाप्त होने पर उसे भी यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा। इसके द्वितीय चरण के पृथक होने के 1 सेकंड के पश्चात ही कर दिया जाएगा। इस समय यान की ऊंचाई लगभग 165 किलोमीटर की होगी और 4.9 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड। तृतीय चरण का कार्यकाल तो 20 सेकंड का होगा और यान की गति इसके अंत तक 7.45 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड तक पहुंच जाएगी। तृतीय चरण के कार्यकाल समाप्त होते ही कोस्ट फेज की शुरुआत होगी, जिसमें बिना किसी प्रणोद के पहले से प्राप्त संवेग से यान 116 सेकंड में 100 किलोमीटर की अतिरिक्त ऊंचाई प्राप्त करेगा। फिर तृतीय चरण को यान से पृथक कर दिया जाएगा। तृतीय चरण के पृथकन के 10 सेकंड के पश्चात चतुर्थ चरण का प्रज्वलन प्रारंभ होगा। यह वह अंतिम चरण है PSLV प्रमोशन यान का, जो उपग्रह को 9.4 किलोमीटर प्रति सेकंड का वेग तथा निर्धारित कक्षा में अंतक्षेपित करेगा। पूरे प्रमोचन का कार्यकाल लगभग 1122 सेकंड का है। उल्टी गिनती अबाध रूप से जारी है प्रमोचन की। अब हम प्रमोचन से 2 मिनट 27 सेकंड की दूरी पर हैं। सभी तंत्रों की आंतरिक जांच की जा रही है।
T-2 minutes.